Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, so what is going on? So today I want to spend a little bit of time talking about real estate. Our house, our home, it's where we live, it's where we reside, it's where we raise our family, it's where we want to grow up, grow old, and enjoy that space. And it's an important decision. It's an important place. We are going to be living in this community we're a part of when we buy our house. I'm a big fan of home ownership. I think it's important to have that asset that is yours. I'm also okay with mortgages. I'm okay having a loan. It does not bother me. It's a personal thing. Some people like to have that no debt kind of thing, like to have that no mortgage payment. It doesn't bother me at all. Personally, I think that the equity in your home is great, but I don't think you have access to that equity in your house unless you have that mortgage. So it doesn't bother me having a mortgage over my head, but it is different for everybody. But what's most important when I think about homes is the place you're going to be, the community you're a part of. And I'm a big fan of community. I spend a lot of time talking about community and the place you want to be. That's what's so important, is where you want to be, where you want to raise your kids, where you want to have that family, where you want to socialize, the friends that you have. Those are all part of the neighborhood you're part of. And that, when I think about home ownership and real estate, is really, really important. And why am I mentioning this? Well, because my wife and I are going through a little bit of a transition. We're thinking about doing some things different. We're looking at different homes, different places to reside. What are we looking to achieve, right? And those things are stressful. And man, I forget how stressful this is. We've moved a few times. We've had these conversations in the past, and we've made these moves very successful. But it's always with a lot of stress. It just is, right? Big decisions come with stress. Moving your children, moving from the house that people grew up in and transitioning to a new neighborhood with unknowns, it's scary stuff. It is. It's really scary stuff. And these are the things that, unfortunately, we have to talk about, we have to think about. And there's a lot that goes into it, right? First and foremost, you got to make sure that you know what your expenses are, right? That expense it's not just about, utilities and things like that. It's the mortgage payment. It's a big deal, right? That's an asset. That's an asset we have on our books, and we want to make sure we can afford that asset, right? Interest rates are a little bit on the higher end of what we were used to, but historically still, I'd say they're very, very reasonable, okay? Sorry, I know we got spoiled. I'm locked in at a 2.875 rate right now, guys. It's a phenomenal rate, and I know I'm not the lowest one out there. We don't see that in today's interest rate environment, but I don't think that should necessarily shift anybody from doing what they really want to do or being a part of that community that they really want to be in. So we want to make sure that we enjoy the community we're a part of. Our house is something we should be proud of. Where we reside is something we should be proud of. And these are things that matter to people. They matter. And interest rate environment is a temporary thing. The Fed controls that. We don't know where that's going to end up. We don't know where it's going to be. But what we can do is understand what our cost structure is, right? Those things are a big, big deal. Our home is one of our biggest assets, right? And sometimes in our lives, it might be the biggest asset, right? You usually have a mortgage on it. So the net is what I look at as the net equity, right? That's the true investment asset, if you will. But a house over your head is a house that's over your head. It's providing that room, that board, that place you're going to gather with your friends and your family. And that's really what's important. The financial goals we have are part of this, right? We have to make sure our finances can give us the ability to enjoy that lifestyle we all deserve. What that is, it's different for everybody. It absolutely is different for everybody. So I spend a lot of time talking about lifestyle and expenses, because ultimately the income we generate from either our job or from our assets when we retire or from Social Security and pensions and all that good stuff, that income stream is only as good as an understanding of our expense structure. And quite frankly, that's really the truth, whether it's us, a company, a corporation, a business, or even a governmental entity, right? Expenses dictate what our income needs to be. Right? Not the reverse. right? If you reverse engineer that, you're going to be living a lifestyle dependent upon your income stream. Well, what if that's not the lifestyle you want to have, right? So I'm a big fan of defining the expense structure to support the lifestyle you deserve, right? Then we have to figure out what income we need to generate that and how our assets can help be a part of that. Those are the right conversations to have. And home ownership and home expenses are a key part of that, right? Some expenses go away when you pay off a mortgage, some do not. HOA fees do not go away, right? Your utility bills will always be there. Real estate taxes, yeah, they're going to be there. And I know the St. Louis, St. Charles County areas have recently done that tax freeze. That doesn't mean tax abatement. It doesn't mean it goes away. It means they're frozen based on what they are right now. And most people just saw a significant increase in property values because of the real estate skyrockets that we've seen over the last few years. Okay. So now for a certain population, they're going to be frozen for a certain period of time. Okay. You have to reapply every year, which means it could change every year, by the way. And don't think it's truly frozen. All right. So don't be surprised a year from now when you go and apply and you think it's frozen and it does go up in price. It will go up in price. Frozen is not everything. Certain components are frozen. But some of the things that support the communities you're a part of can increase still. You're not freezing the entire amount. All right. So those expenses stick with you even when that mortgage is gone, right? We still want to have fun. We still want to make sure we can afford to do vacations. Those are things that we want to make sure we afford to do. It's part of our lifestyle. That's fun. Fun is important. It's why we work so hard. It's why we save. It's what we want to do. We want to live our lives. Okay. It's important. And when we think about real estate, I always work with a professional. I think it's so important to work with professionals because they can help find out what is truly important to you. And that's what we'll talk about here in my upcoming section, segment. I'm going to bring my buddy Roy in here, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about the things that he thinks about when we're talking about real estate. So stay tuned.
You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
October is estate planning month. It's an important topic, not something we want to talk about. What happens after we pass away? What happens? Something happens to us and we cannot make decisions for ourselves. Well, folks, you have to have these conversations while you can, because if you don't have these conversations, somebody has a plan for you. You know who it is? It's either the government or maybe it's a family member that hasn't had this conversation with you. So if you don't talk about this with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, and you don't put those plans into place, the government's going to have a plan for you. You got to have these conversations. It's important. We have these conversations all year long, but with October being estate planning month, we are hosting a workshop on Tuesday, the 22nd, Thursday, the 24th, over at Stone Summit Steak and Seafood, estate planning and tax mitigation strategies. Very important topics. We're going to talk about wills. We're going to talk about trusts. We're going to talk about advanced directives. We're going to talk about tax mitigation strategies, how to preserve and protect your legacy. Our financial goals outlive us. Make sure you attend. Join us. The information is right there on our website, SerenityWealthNow.com. That is SerenityWealthNow.com.
Serenity Now! Hi, it's Vic Porcelli. You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper on 101.9 and 94.1 NewsTalk STL.
All right, so in studio with me today, my good friend Roy Doskal, RJD Realty. Roy, how are you today?
I'm perfect, man.
Man, I got to tell you, we talk a lot about, friends that we have and working with people that you know and things like that. And I've had the pleasure of being friends with you for a very long time. But then when you see somebody professionally in action, it's really cool to see. So I've had the very good fortune of being able to work with Roy on the professional side for quite some time as well. He's helped a lot of my clients, but one of the things that I have not had the ability to do is because I haven't moved. I have not been looking at a house, and my wife and I are currently looking for a home. And Roy, it's been so fun going through the process with you and your approach to making it easier for the people that you help. And I think it's just been really a great experience, and I'm really glad to be able to have that with you.
Well, I appreciate that tremendously. It's nice to get acknowledged for what you do on a daily basis and not just be, oh, he's a realtor.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's funny because people think that about, the financial side of things too. It's, you're just the financial guy, right? But that's not the way I see myself. So talk to me a little bit about those things that you think are so important that really led people just like me to have that feeling of that great experience. What things do you think are so important?
Well, I think something that we probably parallel in our industries is, some people are full-time, some people are part-time. With that being said, there's nothing in our industry to get your real estate license that says you even have to be invested in real estate or own a house.
Yeah.
So that is where I'm at. My brokerage is a small boutique brokerage, but myself and anybody that comes along with me, they've either been in project management, construction, rentals, flips, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they all own homes. So basically I think that for me, I have found, coming from my past life, that investing in real estate, flipping, having rentals, it does a lot for me. It keeps me tuned into what the cost of things are.
Sure.
So there's not just buyer's math. I've actually got budgets that I can shoot from the hip of what I've actually done with homes that I've flipped.
Right.
And it also keeps my network of those professionals fresh.
A big Rolodex full of contacts.
Yeah. So there's, you really try to be the one-stop shop, right? You're already dealing with enough. Whenever you're trying to go look for a home, you don't really know what hiccups you might run into.
Right.
But that's kind of part of our job, I believe, as advisors, is to have that network to be able to just take care of your problems.
Well, in that advisory role, I felt it right away. And I've always known this about you, right? But being able to walk into a home that I'm looking at purchasing and seeing, oh gosh, Roy, this is something that I don't like. Is that a cosmetic thing? Is that a structural thing? What's that look like? And you're just able, oh, that's no big deal. But, oh, you might want to look over here because this kind of is a big deal, right? I felt that the knowledge you have on that from those experiences you were mentioning, that's a big separator, and helps a lot of people because we don't know. Like, I don't know what to look for in this kind of stuff. What was the one you mentioned to me on the structural thing, on the road side of things?
Oh, so yeah, on your roads, even if that's one thing that we can do for you on the new construction build, or your existing homes, just to kind of look for. Doesn't happen everywhere, but street creep.
Street creep, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, street creep is one of those things that it's
not like a peeping Tom on your street or something like that. No.
Well, you could have that creep too, but
we don't want those. Those are bad.
And there's another app you can go to for that we can't help you with. But no, it's street creep it's one of those things that it's just ignorance of homeowners. They just don't know it, right? So you could be in a cul-de-sac, you could be in a bend in the road, a T in the road. Streets can actually move and swell and move. And when they do, they end up jamming into your driveway, and your driveway's got certain voids in between each pad, and they start jamming up, and then they can get into your drive or your garage floor and then push into your foundation and cause a lot of other structural issues. If you see it coming, it can literally be a $1,200, $1,500 fix to put an expansion joint in, and you're done.
Right.
So,
and you do it all in advance to avoid these kind of problems.
You do it in advance and you don't have an issue.
Yeah. And then you don't have water coming into your basement and a big problem on your hands.
But the problem is a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
I
wouldn't know.
It's not that anybody's dumb, uneducated. It's just ignorance. They just don't know.
Right. Right. So. Well, and little things like that make a big difference. And then when we've gone through some of the different homes that we've been kind of touring and things, just some of that little bitty things, like there's the structural stuff you cannot change. So when you're looking for a home, when you're helping a buyer or the right person, when you're coming with a client saying, hey, you're trying to find this home to meet your needs, what are the first things you're looking for to try to make sure that you've got the right place for them?
Well, before we do anything, we're always wanting to try and at least get them hooked up with one of our good lenders so that they actually understand what cash to close is and what their monthly payments will be.
Yeah.
Especially since rates have been changing, they go up, down, and all around.
Know what you can afford, know what you're willing to afford.
Right. Exactly. Right. And then also know, how much HOAs are if you're in a maintenance-free or a carefree living area, taking care of everything. How much that gets into your buying power, right? So there's a lot that goes on with your daily routine of what your monthly budget is.
Yep.
So first and foremost, we want to get that taken care of.
Know the expenses.
Yeah. Then after that, we get out and get going. And then it takes a while. It takes some cadence to get and looking at some things to really help that individual or couple understand what their real needs and wants are. They come out of the box knowing, hey, this is off the starting lines of this is what I think I want.
But
then,
do they really know what they want? Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you they don't, because I know I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and the beauty of the beauty of all of us too, when it comes to married couples, is opposites attract. So we as advisors, we have to be fine-tuned and listening more
sure.
to them to try and trying to bring keep a happy marriage
Well,
going.
I think that Stacy and I, my wife, right, we're lockstep though, right? We're not we have the same opinions on things, is what I think you found, right?
Yeah.
That's probably not true. All right.
No.
Yeah, you should have seen the look he was just giving me, folks. That's definitely wasn't the case there. So there is a little bit of marital counseling that goes along the way as well. So
I have had the pleasure of doing that a couple times with a couple couples over my history, wanting to break up 3 days prior to closing, and I've had to do counseling.
It's stressful.
Yeah,
it is. It's stressful. I mean, you're thinking about this as a big purchase. It's one of the biggest purchases you're really going to make, in many cases, right? Unless we're buying businesses and things like that, or doing some of those real estate investments. But
yeah, and I'd say once we start fine tuning about the area, because a lot of times people come off the starting lines and go, "Hey, this is the area I want."
Right.
And for some reason, they don't realize that there could be a SID and different taxes and different things that they got to deal with, And
what's that's worth to you, which is different for everybody, right?
Exactly. Right. So once we start getting that all figured out, then it's about really going in and looking at the house. I usually let the families walk through and look at it and get their feel. And then when I know that they're real serious, that's when I'll start having to help dissect with them of sexy money and not sexy money.
Yeah.
That's the way I put it. I mean,
sure.
What's the age of the heating and cooling? Is there any blown seals in the windows? Once you can replace some for a while, but once some start going, if they're all the same age, it starts going.
You're big on the blown window seals.
Blown window seals, yeah.
And I get it. It's a big deal.
It's it's not something you're going to spend a bunch of money on.
Well, it's not sexy money.
No, you're not. No, you're not going to go, "Hey, we got all new windows. Let's have a party."
Yeah, no.
Hey, come check out my windows.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen that way.
Right. Right.
But yeah. So, right. Yeah. Just kind of helping people budget, what they've got, and then help them oversee any ugliness that really is minor, right?
Or cosmetic, like paint colors and
exactly
things like that are fairly easy fixes.
Yeah.
It's the structural stuff that's, a little bit more challenging.
Right. And when you get into some of the structural stuff, when you start talking about new construction builds, I'm one that I'm really not big on bay windows.
Okay.
I'd much rather see a family do a 2-foot bump out.
Okay.
Bay windows is where you lose your most efficiency.
So it's energy efficiency is the concern there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, and then let's face it, if you're putting them in your master bedroom, are you going to really use them, or are you going to end up putting a room darkening curtain?
Well, the extension is true footage. I think that a bay window footage is actually, it kind of seems nice, but it's not functional necessarily.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It's beauty.
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
Yeah.
But, it depends. That's again, when we start talking about needs, wants, and budget.
Right. Right. So obviously find the area. And I think one of the things that you helped Stacy and I with when we went through our process is one of the things we wanted right away when we knew we were looking and doing something is the lot was so important to me. To me personally, I was the lot. Stacy was more the area, right? But one of the things I wanted woods in my backyard. I wanted something. I didn't want houses to be behind me. I wanted woods. I wanted that feel every day. And when we started working through some things, we looked at some options that looked great, but didn't have that same, that backyard I was looking for, the view. And I think that you helped kind of narrow that gap by showing us some other options as well, and really validating that belief or that desire to make sure it was really what I was looking for.
Yeah, because you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family, you can't pick your neighbors all the time, right? People move.
Yeah.
So even if you have something great, somebody else can move in behind you. So it's nice. And I think that it comes with different personalities of who people are.
Sure.
You and I, in our profession, we're
people.
Yeah, we're people. But whenever we want our downtime, we're probably a little more introverted.
I do like my downtime.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with just wanting to disappear on your back deck.
That's right. Yeah. And you got to hold to your priorities on that kind of stuff too, because you can't necessarily change those things. Right. So that's one of the things that I think you really helped us do in that process is just kind of fine tune what that looks like, understand the prioritization on that, and then kind of stick to that so that then, as we know, when we go down things, there's certain things, well, don't waste your time on things that aren't going to fit this bill, right? If this is your must have, we now know that. We now know the costs associated with that or the benefit of it. And now that's where we're going to go. Don't look at anything else because that's where you need to be. That's your must have, right? So I think you've really helped us fine tune what that looks like, and you take the time to do that. So I appreciate it, man. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I'd say is whenever you're dealing with, even if you're dealing with new construction build, you got to really find out from each sales manager, each company you're dealing with, what some of their upgrades are. I mean, like we saw, there's
everything has a price, doesn't it?
Everything has a price, and some of them are unreasonable, and you can get it done a lot cheaper. And some of them they're really not as bad as you would think they would be.
Right.
Like the sprinkler system that we dealt with. So.
Yeah, sprinkler systems, and that's an important thing. I like the lawn. It's not even that really. I like the lawn. It's like I don't like to work on that kind of stuff. I work hard, right? So when I get home, I don't want to have to mow like moving a sprinkler around the yard. No. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have brown grass. And that's not good. I don't want that because I don't want my neighbors to have that either.
Well, I would have a rock garden, but we're not in Arizona. So,
Arizona. Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah. Rock garden with some cactuses.
It would be kind of nice. Yeah. Really low maintenance right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Dog would have a hard time.
Well, can't have it all.
Yeah.
Can't have it all.
All right.
So, well, cool. So that's what I think is the most important thing, is to find that person that can help you. And that's what I think you're all about, is you've got some of that background to do some of those structural kinds of things, the background and the Rolodex of, hey, you can do this later and be more efficient if you're building something. Or, hey, this thing over here, it's not the way you would want it, but really here's how you could structure it to get what you're looking for. And I think that is a huge differentiator when you're trying to figure out, hey, do I need to, who do I work with? How do I find this? And I got to tell you, I don't know if we could do this, the sanity. I don't think we could do this on our own. I really don't. I can't believe people do it on their own either.
Well, they make it happen, but as you've seen, it's nice to phone a friend the next morning.
There's a lot that goes into it, man.
Right. Yeah. So, so we're there with you, we're invested with you. And, and then when it comes to some of those things, like, we've done different budgets we're doing. I mean, some people might not be as cash healthy, but they still got enough to still do their thing and have an income. So maybe they want to roll into some of those things into their build, because then it's just into their monthly payment. Yeah. But if you can afford to do things cheaper and you've got the right people. And I always joke that Roy's list is better than Angie's list. My guys have to perform for me, or they're not going to be on my list.
They're not on the list anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
good deal.
Yep.
Well, I'm on the list, right?
Yeah.
Oh, whew. Yeah. Good. Man, I was worried there for a second, folks.
Hey, you manage my money. Come on. So,
well, I manage your goals. That's what I focus on. I appreciate you helping me manage the place I'm going to live in for hopefully the rest of my life.
I appreciate for a while. You too, buddy.
All right, brother. Well, thanks for coming in, man.
All right.
You're listening to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
So, folks, if you are on the market for your next home, maybe looking to sell your existing home, potentially just maybe even thinking about rentals and rental options for the home that you have, and want to talk about what that looks like, or investing and things like that, Roy does it all when it comes to real estate. And what you'll find with my buddy Roy is the way he works with you is not about a transaction of buying, selling a home. Sure, that's part of what he's going to help achieve, but the reasons why you're doing these things is really what he wants to understand. He's going to help make that process as easy as possible. There's some psychological things that take place in this whole thing. It's a stressful time, right? Our home is a big asset, and it's a big ask. A move is a big task, and you want to make sure that you work with a professional who understands these things and keeps that end goal in mind of getting you the peace of mind and the place you want to be. And that's really what Roy and RJD Realty are all about. So give Roy a call, 314-709-2456, or you can visit roydoskal.com. That's RJD Realty, and let them know Chris Cooper sent you over.
Serenity Now!
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper.
All right, so expenses, mortgages. Mortgages are expenses. Expenses are part of our lifestyle. If you're moving, those are costly moves. Costs to move are part of that equation as well, but they're one-time costs. Mortgages last with us, usually 30 years. Can be less. That's okay. But I'm not one of those people that says that you shouldn't have a mortgage when you retire. I'm okay with having a mortgage all the time, right? I've been known to say things like, I'll probably die with a mortgage over my head. I'm okay with that. Does not bother me at all. I'm a big fan of using cash to do other things. I like cash. I like cash flexibility. Loans cost more money than they used to. I have a 2875 mortgage right now. It is awesome. It's awesome. If I move, that's going to change because I can't get a 2875 rate anymore. That's not the current environment. It might be 5 years from now. I personally, I don't think so. I think we got spoiled by low rates. It was kind of cool when they lasted, but I think it was too low, artificially low. So will they continue to go down? Maybe. It would be nice if they were a little bit closer, but I don't know if they'll ever come back there. And that shouldn't stop you from doing those other things that you want to do, including if you want to move. Be a part of the community you want to be a part of. Be proud of the neighborhood you're a part of. Those things are a big deal because when you think about the lifestyle that you want to be in, that should be in the house you want to be in. That should be a part of the subdivision that you're proud to be a part of, in the community you want to be a member of, because ultimately you're going to raise your children in that house. You're going to grow old in that house. You're going to become an empty nester in that house. Then the grandkids are going to come over one day and they're going to stay at your house, and then you're going to ship them back because, right, that's what's awesome about being a grandparent, right? You're only responsible for a window and then you get to leave. That's a big deal. But we want to have fun with the grandkids. We want to be proud of that. And we want to make sure that we're proud of that community we're a part of. And if that means you want to find that house that's right for you and you have to have a mortgage with it, that's okay. As long as you can have the expenses that go with it and it's built into your budget. Okay? Build it into your budget. Understand your expenses. When you're working, income dictates a little bit of your expenses because your job provides a paycheck. That paycheck says, here's what my paycheck is. Uncle Sam gets their pace, their fair share, if you will, right? And then you get to keep the rest, and that funds your lifestyle, right? Hopefully it funds your lifestyle with a little bit of available for your future fund. Future Chris is important too, guys. We want to make sure your future self is also paying itself too. So you got to pay your future. Pay for your future, and then the rest goes to the expenses for the lifestyle you have today, right? When we retire, it's a little bit different. When we retire, we think about our expenses because our expenses dictate our income. Expenses dictate our income when we retire. What do I mean by that? Well, we have to make sure we can enjoy our lifestyle. Okay, expenses are what that includes. So that's mortgage, utilities, all that good stuff, food, and fun, by the way. Lifestyle you deserve. I don't just say lifestyle. That's not bare necessities. I say lifestyle you deserve. That means those trips to vacations you want to do. You want to take the family on vacation every year? Do it. Those are memories. Memories are valuable. That's what people remember. Legacy is a big deal. Memories. Create them. Yeah, they cost money. That's fine. But you know what? It's fun. That should be part of your budget too. So find out what that fun budget looks like. Find out what all those expenses are and add all that stuff up. That's going to be your income when you retire. So your assets have to fund that income stream because your paychecks can't anymore because you're not working, right? So you have pensions, you have Social Security, and you have assets funding that income gap. Okay, so we call it the income gap. That's what your assets are going, that difference between Social Security, maybe any pensions and other types of income streams, and then your assets play the difference. Okay, so assets aren't about growing a bunch of money just to have that money. No, it's funding your future. It's funding your now if you're retired. We want to do that in the most tax efficient way possible, mitigating risks along the way where possible, and taking managed risk, right? Managed risk is important to take because we still want growth. Sure. But more importantly, we want to make sure we can enjoy our lifestyle that we deserve no matter what's going on in the market. Sometimes the market's up. Sometimes the markets are down. And when the markets are down, we still have those payments. We still have that lifestyle. We still want to buy things. We still have to eat, right? We still have to pay our mortgage, pay our utilities, all that good stuff. And you know what? We should still have fun. We should still go on those trips. We should still go on vacation, and we should still do those fun things. That is what Serenity Wealth is all about. We're about funding that balance and that lifestyle you deserve no matter what's going on in the markets and the economic conditions around you. That's the conversations we like to have. Expenses to create the income stream for the lifestyle you deserve.
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.